Hello, second grade. Today you're going to be drawing a scarecrow portrait. A portrait is a picture typically of someone's head and shoulders, but not their body. So your first step is going to be always to put your name at the bottom on the front with a Sharpie and then your teacher's name on the back. You're going to take a CD. You're going to trace just halfway around your CD. Now, if you want to draw with Sharpie first, that's fine, but if you'd rather draw with pencil so that you can erase, that's fine too. See, I'm putting two dots. I'm going to trace halfway or a little over halfway around the CD. You're going to remove the CD. You're going to make a curved line for the brim of his hat. Now, you can put any kind of hat that you want on your scarecrow. But look, I started on one side and I just circled around to the other to make it look like the hat is down on his head. Then I'm going to make the top of the hat. Again, you can create any kind of hat you want for your scarecrow. Be imaginative. Okay, from there, I'm going to make his shoulders, and they're going to run off the page. This is called breaking the picture plane, and it's a technique we use in art to add interest and to use our whole paper. From there, you're going to make a collar. You can make any kind of collar you want, and some buttons. After that, you're going to move up to the scarecrow's face. I'm making just a traditional jack-o'-lantern face, but you can make whatever kind of face you want. It doesn't actually have to be a pumpkin. I'm going to draw the shadow in on the right side to make it look a little more three-dimensional. Always keeping that shadow on the same side, the right side. Now, for his mouth, you can draw it however you want. Again, it doesn't have to look like a jack-o'-lantern. You can draw any kind of face you want to draw. And I'm going to go back and again put my shadow on the right side of those little indentions just to give it a feel that it's three-dimensional. Next, you're going to make some patches because scarecrows have shabby clothing. Any kind of patches you want. I think I'm going to put a patch on his hat. I also added some little lines for where his arms are. All right, from there, we're going to start the resist part of the watercolor resist, which is to take a crayon. Wax is in crayons and wax resists water. So, in essence, what you're doing is when you're coloring, you're keeping that watercolor from going in those spots. So you want to press down pretty hard. I'm putting some hay around his hat and his neck. I'm going to color in his eyes with a yellow. You can use whatever color you want to. I just want it to look like he's kind of glowing. All right, and then from there, you can color in, and I would like you to color in your patches and your buttons. These are the little details that might be hard to watercolor paint. And you're going to have a limited amount of color choices with your watercolor paint. I'm going to color my buttons. Also, just think about contrast and how if you're going to have a red jacket, you may not want red buttons. I'm going to add some stars and a moon in the sky, some swirls, as a little nod to Van Gogh's Starry Night, just because I like that look. You can use white as well. Just make sure you are pushing down hard. Next week, we watercolor. All right, once all your crayon is on, you're going to use liquid watercolor paint. Again, this tips over easy, so don't be like me. Keep it in the tray. I'm going to make his face orange. I'm just painting right over my crayon. The watercolor should not stick where my crayon is as long as I press down pretty hard with that crayon. Make sure between colors you are rinsing and making an X on that sponge, maybe 3 X's. Sometimes the liquid watercolor doesn't want to come out well, so you really have to swish it and then you really have to X, X, X. I'm going to make his hat brown. So again, I'm just painting right over the patch. The only place you really have to be careful is where you have two colors coming together of watercolor paint. You want to make sure what it's next to is dry, otherwise they run together and blend. And it makes kids kind of upset. All right, next thing, I'm going to paint his jacket. Again, just keeping in mind contrast. So if your sky's going to be blue, you may not want to make his jacket blue. However, if you make his jacket blue, what's to keep you from making the sky red or pink like a sunset? Just think about contrast and having a contrast between your scarecrow and your sky. All right, after the red, I am going to rinse, 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 X, 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 and now I'm ready for my sky. I am just going to paint right over my swirls and my stars that I made with my crayon. They are going to come shining through. You can also use black for your sky if you want it to look like nighttime. Again, you can make like a sunset. In the case of a sunset, you might want to do clouds with white crayon instead of doing swirls. So it's kind of up to you. Be imaginative. We just kind of want a little background for our scarecrow. When I'm next to the orange or the red paint, I just want to move slowly and carefully so those don't blend, but otherwise I can go straight over my crayon. And there you have it. We're going to put it on the drying rack.